Which young Red Sox prospect is going to make major waves in 2024? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. While the Red Sox have been shaky over the last couple of years, one of the things that's been really fun to watch has been the emergence of some homegrown stars, right? Guys like Jarren Duran, Tristan Casas, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, and more have come through the ranks of the minor leagues and made their mark on the major league club. Who's going to be the next guy to do that? That is what we are trying to figure out in today's video, because today we are going over some of the candidates that could be impact type rookie player for the Boston Red Sox in 2024. We're going to be going over a list from most likely to least likely. We're going to talk about some fun but probably unrealistic candidates as well, and we're going to talk about how all of this ultimately impacts the Boston Red Sox. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Just a couple of quick things. First of all, this list is tentative, right? It's always going to be changing because we don't really know what the final Red Sox roster is going to look like yet. Some of these players may not even be in the system by the time we get to opening day. On top of that, once the season gets going, we don't know what injuries are going to look like, both at the major league level and the minor league level. And we don't really know how these guys are going to perform in 2024. So this is a bit of a tentative list. And the second thing I wanted to say is, again, we are going from most likely, in my opinion, to least likely, in my opinion. The first guy on this list is Wilyer Abreu. Now, this feels a little bit like cheating considering Wilyer Abreu was with the club in 2023, but technically retained his rookie status going into 2024, so he's still considered a rookie. And Wilyer, I think, clearly is going to make an impact on the 2024 Red Sox. He was fantastic in 2023, posting a .316 average with a .388 on base percentage and a .474 slug, good for a .132 OPS plus in 28 games. The Red Sox really clearly liked his bat. Alex Cora was drooling all over this kid by the end of the year. This is a guy who has a real potential to be almost an everyday player with the 2024 club, especially with the addition of Tyler O'Neill and the removal of Alex Verdugo. They're going to need that left-handed bat in the outfield, and Wilyer Abreu feels like that absolute perfect candidate. So the most significant rookie of the 2024 Red Sox is more than likely going to be Wilyer Abreu. Now, the second guy on this list is Ceddanne Rafaela, probably for a similar reason to Wilyer Abreu. We saw him in 2023. Ceddanne Rafaela's experience in the major leagues was a bit different than Wilyer Abreu. He ended up with, in the same amount of games, a .241 average with a .281 on base percentage and a .386 slug, good for a .78 OPS plus, so a bit of a difference there. And on top of that, with the addition of Tyler O'Neill, who is a similar type player to Ceddanne Rafaela, but with more major league experience, it feels like it's most likely going to happen that Ceddanne Rafaela is going to start the year in AAA. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to stay in AAA for the entire year, and barring any injuries or performance issues at the major league level, we could and most likely will see Ceddanne Rafaela come back up to the major leagues at some point in 2024, but I just don't know in how impactful of a role that's going to be compared to a guy like Wilyer Abreu, right? I think Ceddanne Rafaela at some point this season, probably in my opinion towards the second half of the year, will start to get more everyday at-bats, whether that be in the outfield or whether that be on the infield or wherever that may be, but I don't think he's going to start the year with the major league club. The next group is sort of a couple of different guys, and that is your bullpen reliever type group, and I think there's two names to keep an eye on here. That's Luis Guerrero and Brian Mata. Both these guys are scheduled to make their debuts in 2024. Luis Guerrero had a really impressive 2023 season where he made a Futures All-Star game. He also had a 2.32 ERA with a 11.3 K per nine in both AA and AAA in 2023. Luis Guerrero is sort of an electric bullpen arm, and while there's a lot of competition for the bullpen, both him and Brian Mata, for those of you who may not remember, was once one of the Red Sox top prospects, but he got injured, fell off a little bit, had some command issues, and now he sort of feels like going to be in a bullpen role according to Craig Breslow. That doesn't mean he still can't be effective, and I think both of these guys could be really solid options for the Red Sox as you go through the year and you start to lose arms and you start start to have fatigue in the bullpen. Both of these guys could come up and almost immediately make an impact at the major league level. For Guerrero, it's going to be when's his opportunity going to come, and for Brian Mata, it's can he control the ball enough to give you 1.5, 2 innings at the major league level. Both those questions I think will be answered on their own in due time, but there's a ton of relievers on this list, right? Wyatt Mills, the guy they brought over from the Mets from the Rule 5 draft, he has to be on the major league roster. You got Isaiah Campbell this offseason, and then you got a bunch of different guys who are sort of fighting for those last bullpen spots. So there's a ton of relievers, but I think these are the two in terms of true like high impact noise making players to keep an eye on. Keeping with the pitching theme here, I also think another name to pay attention to throughout the season is a guy by the name of Wilkerman Gonzalez. He's the Red Sox third highest ranked prospect. He had a really fantastic season last year, specifically in Double-A, where he had a 2.42 ERA in 10 starts with a really impressive 11.7 K per 9 and a fairly low 1.138 whip. He did have a bit of a higher walk rate at 5.2, but the skill is clearly there. He may start the year in Double-A, but I think if he doesn't start the year in Triple-A, he very quickly makes his way up to Triple-A. I think Wilkerman Gonzalez is a name to keep an eye on in terms of injuries in the rotation, specifically after he's got a few starts under his belt in Triple-A, sort of like we saw with Brian Bayo once everyone got injured in 2022, or Cutter Crawford, guys like that, where they were sort of brought up a bit earlier than they'd like, but this is sort of a worst case scenario type Wilkerman Gonzalez, and it sucks for him, but for us, I think the best case scenario here is that we don't see Wilkerman Gonzalez in 2024, because that means the Red Sox have a healthy rotation and a very talented one. Either way though, I think Wilkerman either this year or next year is going to start to break into that rotation. He could be a really intriguing arm, especially if he can get his walk rate under control at the AAA level, because if he could do that, this is a mid-rotation type guy. Finally, if we're talking in terms of truly realistic options for the Red Sox to bring up and have an impact in 2024, I think Nick Yorke could fall into this category. Last year, he played a full season in Double-A where he had a 268 average, a 350 on base percentage, and 435 slug with 25 doubles and 13 home runs. It's extremely possible, I dare say even likely, that he starts the year in Triple-A. And if the Red Sox do what they sort of everyone thinks they're going to do, and that's get a sort of stopgap second baseman, a guy who's only going to be here for a year, it makes sense that if the Red Sox feel as though Nick Yorke is ready, they may not have a true problem with bringing him up and taking time away from that 1-year guy, because then that means you're starting to produce and develop your everyday second baseman for years to come. Now, the problem with Nick Yorke, and the one thing I will point out, is it just simply feels like Nick Yorke is a really likely trade candidate. He's sort of a tier below your top 5-ish type prospects, but he's still a valuable prospect, a guy who has a high ceiling, and if the Red Sox are looking to trade for starting pitching or anything like that, I have a feeling Nick Yorke may be involved in that package, but if not, this is definitely the last guy on this list, in my opinion, that could have a legitimate impact, definitely towards the end of 2024, but in 2024 in some capacity. So those are sort of my realistic options here for names to keep an eye on in terms of rookie impacts in 2024. Now, you obviously have your depth guys that could also make an impact at some point, David Hamilton and Manuel Valdez, Sean Murphy, Brandon Walter, guys like that who may not get everyday at-bats, may not be on the big league club for a super long period of time, but may have some impact, but those aren't super fun names to talk about. No offense to them at all. I think they're still really great players, but I'm just saying in terms of their actual impact on the club, I think those guys may be a tier below some of these players on this list. However, let's talk about some other names as well that are somewhat unrealistic, but would be really fun if we saw in 24. The names I'm talking about are essentially the big three, right? The three names at the top of the Red Sox prospect list right now, Marcelo, Roman, and Kyle, are probably not going to make an impact on the 2024 club, but all three of them could possibly get there, and that could be an absolute fun time towards the end of the year. Marcelo Meyer, in my opinion, is the one who's closest to getting to the major leagues. He definitely had a rough 2023 due to his injury, but despite that injury, that talent is still definitely there. Before his injury happened, he was hitting .337 with a .414 on base percentage, a .582 slug, and a .168 WRC+. If he's healthy, I could 100% see the Red Sox start to fast track him a little bit. This feels like a guy who almost is going to burst out of the minor leagues. I know the injuries is slightly concerning, but he's young. He's only 20 years old. He definitely has the ability to bounce back from these. And again, the key word here is if healthy. But if he is healthy, this is someone I could see the Red Sox sort of plowing through AA, sticking him in AAA, and then bringing him up towards the end of the year and sort of replacing that stopgap second baseman that I think we're assuming they're going to get. Obviously, things could change, but of these three names, I think Marcelo Meyer is the most likely one to make his way up. Again, I still think realistically it's 2025, but there's a chance in 2024. Now, as for the other two names, I think they're sort of in a similar boat here. Both that were absolutely incredible in a smaller sample size in AA. Both are playing positions where the Red Sox have depth at the major league level. I think both can kind of write their own timelines right now. If they continue to just demolish minor league pitching the way they are, yeah, at some point the Red Sox can't ignore that, but the Red Sox can also afford to be cautious with both Anthony and Teal because of the depth they have at the major league level. These could be guys that they sit back and they say, hey, write your own path, right? If you are absolutely incredible, we'll bump you up. If not, hey, you've got time, you've got the ability to sit down there, work on things, and make sure you are 110% before we bring you up to our major league roster. Now, this could be 2024, this could be 2025. We don't really know what that timeline looks like, but again, if these guys continue to mash the way that they're mashing, and I think it's possible that they can do that, both are just extremely talented players, I think there is a slight possibility that the Red Sox take a chance and bring them up towards the very end of 2024. I think specifically Kyle Teal, because of that college experience and because of the sort of situation they have in general at the catching position, this could be a guy that they're very quickly like, okay, he looks good to go, let's get him up here. But again, I don't think it'll be till the very end of 2024. But that's just my opinion. These are the guys I think you should keep an eye on. We talked about the big three, so let me know in the comment section down below. Is there anyone you think that I did not mention will make an impact on the Red Sox in 2024? Is there anyone on this list that you're excited for more than the others? What do you think about this list in general? What are your thoughts on some potential rookie impacts on the Red Sox in 2024? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.